Brought to you by Dale Carnegie of Orange County. This is the 411 on Leadership podcast, where we discuss common sense leadership practices with executives in Southern California to transform you into the leader people want to follow. Welcome, everyone, to the 411 on Leadership podcast. My name is Steve Thomas, executive consultant and regional VP of Dale Carnegie. And to my left, the dapper man with the hat, John Campbell. He is the director of missions relations at Pacific Justice Institute. How's everything going, John? Again, you're looking pretty fly with that hat, my friend.
You know, I got to keep up with you, with the lapels and you had the vest on last week. Steve is an excellent dresser. He does such a fantastic job. So plus, being follically challenged as I am, it's something that we have to, take care of when we go outside. If it's cold, I got to keep my head warm. If it's sunny and bright, I got to keep it shaded. So, it's one of those things.
Understand. Well, you know what? I got hair for the both of us.
Yeah,
so
you do. You got it on the top and the bottom there going. So, hey.
Well, listen, welcome everybody for joining us. We are powered by Sitch Radio. So if you're interested about starting your own podcast, I encourage you to talk to our man, Brian. Sitch Radio offers services to meet your podcasting needs. You can learn more at sitchradio.com. Before we get into what we're going to move into today, we want to take the opportunity also to recognize our Asian American and Pacific Islanders this month. We both celebrate what you bring to us, but not only do we celebrate what you bring to us, but we also advocate for your safety. We also advocate for equality as well, as we've unfortunately seen the number of hate crimes rise with this community. But John and myself, we want to take the opportunity to not only recognize all of your achievements and all of your contributions to us. In addition, though, we also want to advocate for your safety and equality. John, you have a couple words?
Well, and appreciate it. I mean, in the business environment, obviously, the Asian American Pacific Islander community has contributed immensely into business leadership. I mean, there's just so many executives, senior leaders, both male and female. And so we want to thank you for that. And both Steve and I, even though we are not of Asian or Pacific Islander descent, have close family members who are. And so we appreciate you very, very much, and each and every one of you. We also want to, if I can, yesterday, we celebrated Mother's Day, and we want to give a shout out to all of you moms out there. I hope you were able to enjoy time with your family and know that you were appreciated.
Thank you, John. We love our moms. If they weren't for our moms, obviously we wouldn't be here, right?
Thank you for the biology. But yes, absolutely. No, but to the individuals that we are today, right? Some of the first leaders in our families, many times our parents, our moms especially, have contributed so much to who we are.
We teach both leadership and biology here on this podcast. So
can we edit that out, Brian? Is that for when that one goes to, oh no. So that's live. All right. So now we change the title to the show. All right.
So, we just started our new podcast series focused on inclusive leadership. Mm-hmm. And there's so many definitions to what that looks like. And we look forward to hearing from our guests what they believe inclusive leadership looks like. For us, we kind of have a blanket definition of that is that not only is everyone welcome to the table, but that everyone at the table, they are valued, their voice is heard, and they are embraced by the organizations. And so, we look forward to hearing from different leaders moving forward as it relates to specific competencies that contributors look for in their leaders for them to be inclusive leaders. And so today we're going to talk about this idea, or not the idea, but we're going to talk about the trait of being trustworthy. And for that, we are so excited to have with us the CEO of Reid Metal Finishing that is located here in Southern California. His name is TJ Grandcolas. TJ, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you with us on the show. And TJ, I have to ask you, where are you accessing this show from?
Right now, I'm in right outside of Rapid City, South Dakota. So I'm a little out in the country right now, but I am right now expanding my operations into the Midwest. So
we're not hearing anything here on this side.
So TJ, we're going to ask you probably repeat it a little bit. So
Okay.
There it
Oh,
is.
there he is.
All
He was
right.
back again. So
I'm
TJ,
back.
what you said was so great. We need you to say it again.
That's wow. I like my introduction here. All right. So, no, I'm just kidding. I am actually in the Midwest right now. We're expanding our operations into South Dakota, actually Rapid City, South Dakota, to be exact.
Wow.
So we are out in the Midwest right now, just growing our empire.
Oh man, that's great to hear. So TJ, we have to ask you because as we had the discussion before this podcast, even the fact that you're in South Dakota right now just really leans into this trait that we're talking about as it relates to being trustworthy and really is trusting your team here in Southern California to continue to grow the business as it frees you up to grow the business in South Dakota. So if you want sharing with us, tell us about your leadership journey so far and how did it lead to your understanding of being trustworthy in leadership.
Well, one of the biggest things for me as I grew our company, I started expanding our company into what was called non-destructive testing, and I did it. I was the processor of the line. So as I was doing it, I was handling my customer's product, and I started to realize if I wanted to grow that line, I was going to have to start trusting employees to come in here and do the product the way that I do the product to ensure that quality. And that was probably the beginning of my understanding of trust and trustworthiness. To be able to grow, I was going to have to trust my team, and putting
Right.
my trust in my team was one of the best things I've ever done.
So, and when we think about trusting your team, what were some of the practical ways for you in at Reid Metal Finishing that you were able to impart or to kind of lean back on their leadership in that area?
So it was one of those things that just my people, in my opinion, everybody's everybody has great things to give to the team, and for me to trust my team, it was one of those things that really opened my eyes to seeing other people's ability to be leaders and say, look, that person over there, being able to trust them. Oh man, now I see them as a leader of my company. And case in point is Susie, my general manager. I trusted in her. We went through some growing pains in the company together, and I put a lot of trust in her. And putting that trust in her, I saw that leader in her, and now she's my general manager. So it was, that's a big thing. But putting that trust out there showed me who my leaders could be.
Mm. So,
Fantastic.
so speaking of general managers, I was gonna wait till the end for this, but I feel that since you brought Susie's name up already, I actually went and I actually asked her. I said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna have TJ on the podcast, and
Oh man, oh no.
is there any thing that I could add, about TJ that I can go ahead and share and make sure our listeners know about TJ and the leader that he is?" And so she did send me something. And so, you know what? I'm going to read it right now because I just think it's that's great. And
Oh
that's,
man.
that'd be officially your bio. So she writes, TJ is a true leader and visionary for our company. As you mentioned earlier, he's very selfless and puts others and his team before him. Although he's had his position for a relatively short amount of time, he's had a huge impact on us all. He's created an environment and culture of positivity. The camaraderie around the company is night and day compared to what we had before. I'm going to pause it right there because I'm going to read the rest of it later. So, I mean, it just shows how much your team values, what you're doing. And so, what would you say as a leader, TJ, is the most impactful lesson for you that you've learned to this point that's had an effect on your leadership?
I think for me, it was we had a period of growing pains not too long ago, and it really showed me that, or excuse me, let me back up a little bit. But we had some growing pains, which put a little unease in my customers,
Mm.
and that's a no go for me. But what I did was I made sure that my team understood that I trusted them to do their jobs. They knew exactly what they needed to be done. I didn't need to micromanage. I didn't need to be over them. And by doing that, we were able to not only strengthen our relationships with our current customers, but we were able to retain some new customers. For example, we had a new customer come in, and they were extremely happy with our quality and customer service, but we were just having a hard time with coming up with a price. Um, the one thing I told my team is just continue to give them that outstanding service, that outstanding quality, and let's see where it goes. And today we have retained that customer, and we have a great relationship with them. So it just really shows me that if you just let your people do what they need to do, they're going to do great things.
Mm.
Wow, and that example shares a couple of different things. Both the one, we can talk about trust as it comes to working with clients and customers. I mean, that's a big deal. But the other, and you identified TJ a little bit on both sides. So you have to trust your team, and in return, they're trusting you. Did you have to deal with any of those aspects of kind of that big brother you mentioned, not realizing you didn't have to micromanage them? Did that ever come into play, or was there any ways that you intentionally try to avoid having to get into that kind of trap of micromanaging your team?
Well, that was my father owned the company before I did, so it was one of those things that Big Brother was my dad, always
Okay.
on top of me. And thank you, Dad, and God rest his soul. He passed away already, but it was him with that micromanagement, which I understood why he did it. It still drove me pretty crazy. So what I wanted to do was just again prove to my father that if you just trust your team, they'll do great things. And that's exactly what happened. And we're doing great things right now.
I think in learning more about your story, you've shared something which is the biggest thing that you believe that has built trust within your team. Would you mind sharing that for us?
Say that question again, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So, as we were talking about, you are the type of person that is like, the first guy to, go into battle for your team, right?
Yes, yes.
And so, when you talk about, the one of the biggest things that has built trust within your team, what would you say that is? Would it be like, to be the first one into the fire, or
Oh, yes.
what is that thing?
Yeah.
What is one of the
When we were going through those growing pains, the thing that was really important to me was standing in the forefront of the battle, always being in the front, never passing the buck, never passing the blame, always taking the blame, understanding that this is my company. I'm going to take the blame. We're going to get through this. Whatever happens, happens. And I realized that once I saw when I turned around as I was in the front, I saw all of my employees kind of pushing forward with me, and it was one of those things that okay, now I understand that is if you put yourself out there, if your team understands that you're going to lead them, and they can trust you, you can trust them. It's you guys are we're all going to do great things.
Mm.
If you're joining us now, we are talking with the CEO of Reid Metal Finishing, TJ Grandcolas, and we're talking about inclusivity and leadership and building that trust. And Steve, I mean, there's just already been so many things that we've heard from TJ. Thank you so much for sharing as we're talking about the impacts on trust, both for your team to be able to trust you to take that lead, you being able to trust your team members in aspire. I mean, hearing you say that you expected them to get to that level by giving them the trust to be able to get there. And then also trust when it comes to your clients. I mean, every company, every business has clients, right? If without clients, we don't make money. And
Right.
being able to build that trust with your team as you identified, being able to work with them to be allow them to work with you to try to continue to supply them their needs and to see that trust build even in the midst of some uncertainty with growth and so forth. So I mean, so many lessons already, Steve.
Definitely, especially as we consider the environment that we're currently in right now,
Yep.
where there are, I would say, the majority of the workforce. I mean, it's changing even now as we're getting to a better normal from this pandemic. A lot of us have been exposed to working from home, and so there is that level of
Yeah.
trust that we as leaders need to put into that we need to invest in our teams.
Absolutely.
Now that things are swinging back the other way, and people are talking about how do I bring people back from home, some of these issues, not issues, but some of these things may come into play. And what I mean by that is like, okay, well, I don't see, or to contributors may think, well, I don't see why I need to go back in the office. Things are perfect here, but then we have those leaders that says, hey, you know what, we want everybody to be back in the office. And so, the idea of trust is even more important as we begin to navigate these issues. And so, TJ, we're talking about being an inclusive leader and just kind of the blanket we mentioned a blanket definition of what that looks like, but it looks different, slightly different to different leaders. And so for you, what does being an inclusive leader mean to you? And how does that idea of being trustworthy fit into that?
Well, for me, it means only the best and brightest get the job done. I really, it matters no matter your background. I feel like everybody can provide to the team. And I feel like everybody has great things to provide. It doesn't matter what part of the process you provided. I believe everybody has a process there. And being trustworthy is the focal point of that. You have to trust the people. You have to, inclusivity to me means, again, the best and brightest will get it done. And if you trust them to get it done, absolutely they'll get it done. And and 9 times out of 10, it far exceeds what I expected it to be. And that's I have got to give you a quick little story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before all the pandemic and stuff happened, we were getting ready to set up a third shift. And my gut was a little wrenching as the CEO, thinking, okay, do we have enough work for it? Oh, we hope this was the right choice. And I believe it was a Friday, and we were thinking about implementing it on that Monday or the following Monday. And I just came into the office, and I said, "Look, guys, maybe we're not ready for this. We still have structures to do and everything." And Susie hit me with, "TJ, we're already ready. Everything's set, everything's in line, everything's good. All the employees are ready." And it was the most beautiful feeling that, you know, I trusted my team to get there. And even when I got uneasy about it, my team said, no, we're going to push forward.
Wow.
And we did. And it was a great decision. So
Wow.
that was one of my stories that I love that story, because it was one of those times that, again, so cool to see that I brought that enthusiasm in my team to believe we can do it. So when my faith got a little rocky, they were the one that provided that strength. So that was a big deal to me.
That's fantastic. It's
That
fantastic.
is
I
great.
mean, just the idea of having everybody on that team rowing in the same direction, right? They bought into the
Yeah.
cause. You had inspired in them the ability to think beyond just that current moment,
Yeah.
and that's what sounds like really got them through. And Steve, I mean, again, one of the things that we've talked about with Dale Carnegie is giving someone a fine reputation to live up to, and TJ, you obviously showed that and gave us a model for what that means to be able to say, my team can do this. And then even when you said when you faltered a little bit, they stepped up and actually did it and made it
Yep.
happen.
Yeah. So TJ, speaking of Dale Carnegie
Yeah.
principles, I know that, our company at Dale Carnegie, we've been in partnership with Reid Metal Finishing
Yep.
in
Yep.
the past. And so, as we talk about this idea of being trustworthy, in an inclusive leadership, what Dale Carnegie principles resonates most with you as a leader who is inclusive, but is also placing trust in their team?
Well, I hate to steal from John here, but that's exactly the case for me.
Mm,
Give everyone a fine reputation to live up to, because in my opinion, everybody wants to do great things. And if you give them that opportunity to do great things, again, like I said, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do great things. So for me, it's that, and throwing down that challenge of getting to that, supporting them, whether it be, you know, at work, at home, no, not at home, excuse me, but just professionally, personally, I just want to help my team grow. And that's one of the biggest things for me, is giving them that reputation, and then getting them there and helping them get there.
mm. It's funny relating to what you're saying. I pulled up some stats. It was from Deloitte, and they did a study. I actually gotten these stats from a Harvard Business Review article, and it mentioned that teams with inclusive leaders are 17%
Mm.
more likely to report that they are high performing, 20% more likely to say they make high quality decisions, and 29% more likely to report behaving collaboratively. And so, as I'm hearing your story, TJ, and I'm hearing the story of your team and Reid Metal Finishing, I can't help but to think of these statistics and how you're experiencing success. And not only are you experiencing success, but it's also freeing you to expand to different areas
Yep.
in which you can even increase your success. And you wouldn't be able to do that unless you had the ultimate trust in your team
Absolutely not.
doing what they needed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the impact, and I don't know if you've seen it there at Reid Metal Finishing, TJ, but I know that one of the things that they talk about, and I've saw in the Harvard Business Review, percentages of people with lower stress in an organization that they trust the leader, less burnout, less sick days, more energy. I mean, just the impact to be able to say, not only do I feel that my leadership trusts me, but I can trust them, and it's an
Yep.
organization where and we had a testimony that you referred to earlier that really exemplifies that the organization and the staff there trust you. So that's huge.
John went old school church on us there by saying testimony.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Preach
but,
it. Come on.
No, that story. It's the hat, TJ. It's the hat.
Yep. Preacher's coming out. Yep.
So TJ, you know, for those that are listening right now, and by the way, for those that are listening, we're talking with CEO TJ Grandcolas. He is the CEO of Reid Metal Finishing, located not only here in Santa Ana, California, but about to be located in South Dakota as well. And so, TJ, for those leaders that are listening right now, and you know, if we think about the challenges of where we are as leaders, when we're talking about us emerging out of this pandemic, we're talking about, again, the discussions of reintegrating our team back into the office. And when we think about, you know, creatively coming up with strategies in which we could, you know, in whether it be increase our revenue from our business, maintain our client base, but whatever it is, you know, what is that one practice? I know, and with your experiences, I know there's plenty, but what is that one or two practice that business leaders can adopt this week to implement trust within their teams?
Well, for me, I think the biggest thing that anybody could do is, and I'm not a paid actor, so but the biggest thing I think you can do is take the ones you trust. Definitely take the ones you trust, but take the ones you want to put trust in. You want to see if you can trust. Get them into some Dale Carnegie classes. Get them in some business classes, some management classes. Help them grow as an individual and see if you can trust them. See, I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, for me at least, every time I've put my effort and faith into my employees, it always pays me back. So for me, I would say find the ones in your organization that you want to build trust with, get them into those courses to help build that trust within them and with you, excuse me.
And thank you. And to add on that as well, to kind of to what's the word I'm looking for, to illustrate this or just to validate your leadership and what you're doing, you know, I have to read to you the second half of what Susie wrote. I only read you the first half.
Yeah.
The second half of what Susie wrote. By the way, Susie Underwood is the general manager of Reid Metal Finishing in this location in Southern California. And so she begins, and I'm going to read one statement I read before. I'll just kind of reread it and go through the rest. It says, the camaraderie around the company is night and day compared to what we had before. You can see and feel that everyone now has a sense of direction and purpose in the company. Not that no one had purpose before, but now we're actually working towards a goal and a vision, which is to be the best metal finishing company, all the while carrying our core values of ideas. And that's an acrostic, by the way. If you want to learn more about it, visit reidmetalfinishing.com. I believe that's the website. It'll be added in the notes. She says, the most gratifying feeling that we have is trust. Our team really leans on one another, and this helps create a sense of unity. I'm thankful that he has given me the autonomy to run his company, and the only thing I want to do in return is to make him and my fellow team members proud. And again, this is written by Susie, who's the general manager. TJ, thoughts on that?
I'm blown away. Thank you, Susie. Thank you for saying those words. I feel that's wow. I'm speechless. That makes me feel very amazing. To know that my employees think of me like that is really cool, and to know that they're, like she said, we're all rowing in the same direction now, and we're all have purpose. Every single person in the company has a reason to be there, and they need to be there, and that's, we want them there. So it's wow. Thank you, Susie. Wow.
And that's all a testament to what you have been investing in your team there as a
Yep.
CEO, which frees them up to do what they need to do and reach their
Yep.
maximum potential. John, you
Yeah.
had thoughts on that?
Well, we know that trust is so important in relationships, right? And it goes back to the interpersonal communication, right? It's not just a matter of can I do the job, but can I trust those around me to be there alongside me, right? We always have those military references, right? Do you know that the person's got your back when stuff gets bad? And
Mhm.
so even Stephen Covey wrote that trust is the glue of life. And you think about it in every relationship that we have, whether it's at work or at home, there's this an inherent level of trust in those that we interact with on a daily basis. Well, whether we have it, we need it, or we don't have it, right?
Mhm.
It is so important. But to those that we want to be in relationship, it's such a big deal. And as a leader, it's essential.
And it really undergirds that psychological safety that we're trying to get with our teams, where
Yeah.
they have the environment where they can feel heard and not have any sort of like retribution or
Yep.
people look at them critically or anything like that, but then they can really be themselves. And this is where we as leaders can show them, or we could value them and really and encourage them, because it's in that environment where the innovation will happen, the ideas will happen, and the camaraderie will happen, which definitely will definitely have a huge impact on the culture. So TJ, with the reminder time that we have, we can't bring you on here and you not let us know a little bit about Reid Metal Finishing and what you guys are doing there. Share with us for a little bit what's going on at Reid Metal.
So Reid Metal Finishing, we are an anodizing and electroplating company out of Santa Ana. We do anodizing, sulfuric or type 2, type 1, and type 3 hard coat anodizing. We also do electroplating, which is cadmium, zinc, nickel, electroless nickel, zinc nickel. We also do passivation. Um, we also we have baking and masking operations as well. We also do non-destructive testing. I got to talk about my team a little bit, if you guys don't mind.
Of course.
My management team, I just wanted to talk about them for a sec. That's Susie, Natalie, and Julio. Susie, again, is our general manager. Natalie is our office manager. And one of the things I wanted to say is, she's the one that I trust with the money of the company. And what's one of the most important things about a company is making sure the finances are still there. So I put a lot of trust in her, and I thank her very much. She's an amazing leader in our office. And last but certainly not least is Julio, which is our quality manager. He's taken a couple Dale Carnegie courses. He is hands down one of the best. No, excuse me. Let me back that up. He is the best quality manager I will ever know. The attention to detail he has, the amount of pride he puts into his work. I couldn't be more proud of who he is and what he does for our company. Along with everybody else we have there, our whole company. Everybody, thank you. I just want to say thank you to all of them. We're going to continue to thrive. We continue to grow together, and we're going all the same way. And it's the best feeling in the world.
Awesome. Well, listen, TJ, we want to say thank you to you for being that example of a leader that places trust in their team. And but what has happened is that your team has returned in kind, but not only managing the operation that you have in Santa Ana, but they're thriving as well.
Yep.
And that's freeing you up to expand your organization to different parts of the states. And so major kudos to you. And, we're grateful to continue to partner with you and your
Yes.
team to take you all, or to partner with you to get to that level that you want to get to, where you're in all 50 states.
Yep. Amen.
From
Amen.
California. So if you're good
Well,
with that, I'm
one
good.
more example of trust. I just have to
Sure.
throw
Please
out
share
there.
it. Oh, did
Yeah.
we lose?
We'll keep
Okay,
going. All right.
I think we lost them. Well, listen, we definitely want to hear that, TJ. If you've got that,
Tune in next week.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. Okay,
All
we
right.
were gonna say we're gonna have to bring you back for a part 2 there, TJ.
I want to leave you guys in suspense. Dang, it didn't work.
Nice.
But no, what I was saying is we're expanding into paint and primer, which is another processing line. And we were getting everything set up right before I started to come out here to South Dakota. And that's again another huge thing that we're getting into, that we put nothing but trust into Susie and the rest of the team. And right now we're almost ready to get it installed into our into one of our departments. And it's just one of the best feelings in the world to be able to be out here in South Dakota while I'm trying to continue to expand not trying, but we are expanding our company and our operations in Santa Ana. And to have the trust of them to know they're going to do it and do it the best of their abilities is amazing. So I just had to throw that out there too.
Man, that's a great story, and I appreciate you sharing that. I'm glad we got you back for you to share that. I think that's incredible. I think that's incredible. TJ, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. John, you've had a couple of ending words before we go. Thanks so much, TJ.
For joining. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you again, TJ. I mean, just a great couple of weeks as we've talked to so many leaders about levels of inclusivity, and today as we talked about trust. And look to you as a leader. What can you do today if you've got to restore trust, or if you're looking to build additional trust in your company? And there's a couple of simple things. I'll give you just two things. One is learn the names of your team. If you learn the names of your team, and when they come in the morning and you greet them by name, maybe it's that person, that frontline worker, maybe it's the receptionist, the person, learn their name, call them by name. And it's such a huge thing for a leader. We take it for granted, but when a leader calls you by name, it's such a big thing. And then the next one is, if you've made a mistake, admit it. Think about today, is there something you missed? And maybe it's not a huge thing, but maybe you even cut someone's idea off in one of your last meetings, or whatever it is. Think about it. Take a moment, reflect. We've all done it. It's not like we haven't made mistakes, but think about what it is, and think about who it is that you could eat a little bit of humble pie and apologize to. And to be honest, it is such a huge thing for someone. We a lot of times, we as leaders don't want to admit mistakes, but it allows us to build that level of trust in with somebody. When we say, look, I blew it, I missed this, help me understand your point of view, help me understand what it is that I missed in this situation. And it's, maybe you still don't accept that idea, but you allow them the ability to finish or express a thought.
John, it sounds like you read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I may have.
Great principles. I appreciate you sharing that, John. And by the way, if you want to learn more about, how you can build trust within your teams, feel free to visit us at dalecarnegie.com. We partner with different organizations and teams and individuals to not only build trust within their teams and become that person that people like to be around, but also equip them with those processes that would help them to lead them well. So we're located at ocdalecarnegie.com. We have one of our upcoming programs, our leadership training for managers, that is coming up pretty soon, within the next month, that goes into a little bit more into detail. You can see those all in the show notes. And then also Pacific Justice Institute as well. Quick note on Pacific Justice Institute, John.
Yeah, and one of the things for trust is to be transparent. And as Pacific Justice Institute is a nonprofit, we participate in a couple of what they call review organizations. One is ECFA, one is Charity Navigator, where all of our financials are disclosed so that someone that's giving to a nonprofit can see what it is that they're giving to. And thankfully, we're top rated on Charity Navigator because it's important that people can trust us as a nonprofit in what we do. So
great. Thank you so much. Well, listen, everyone, thanks so much for joining us on another Monday. We hope you all have a great week. Remember, managers light a fire under people, leaders light a fire in people. Have a great Monday.
Like, subscribe, share.